schools with low resources, just like the topic of today is focused on. I think I'll first of all, I'm going to do a lot of examples basing on my experience as someone who has been in the education K-12 for K-12 to be precise for the past 9 to 10 years, and have seen and been in a position whereby I have to take decisions to actually foster education in K-12 in my country, to be precise. So coming back to the topic, should social media and radio-driven classrooms be integrated into national education systems? Yes, I will say yes, and I'll say yes many times. Not because I'm a technology person, but because I have seen how using digital means can actually foster and bring educational content easier to learners as compared to the traditional way. And one of the reason is because in terms of reach, using social media or technology as a whole gives you the possibility to reach people faster than traditional brick and mortar schools. For example, if we have content that we want to share to people that are or students that are say 300 or 400 or 500 kilometers from us, it will be practically impossible to actually send that content in a physical or paper form to go to that particular space where the people are, as compared to using technology to get it over to them. And another aspect is technology. Technology has advanced over the years, and it's true that in most cases we still have to rely on the most rudimentary like SMS and the rest, as compared to maybe videos or video content or picture, which necessitates that the end user has a more robust um, uh, apparel or equipment to actually to be able to receive it and process it, as compared to radio, which of course we all know it's old, and almost everybody is able to have a radio and listen. And also with SMS, which is readily available to almost every end user. Now, when it comes to integrating this into national education systems, I think many governments, especially in Africa, they still rely so much on the traditional brick and mortar. Of course, that's what they have chosen to invest so much on. Why? Because the idea of using technology to reach out to so many people far and wide was not so much common as it is now. And people like myself, who are leading platforms that actually prove to the government that yes, it's possible for you to use social media or technology to reach people in difficult situations, is actually giving them the perspective that okay, we can actually invest, we can try to invest in this and see how far it goes. For example, in my country, Yakili recently got the endorsement to digitalize 5,000 plus schools in the private sector. And at the moment, we're actually doing our POC. Part of the requirements of the POC was that we're supposed to train teachers. And you have to understand that when we accepted that we're going to train teachers, of course, the government knew that we are going to do the normal way of bringing people in a hall and then stand in front of them and start talking to them. So when we told them that's not what we are going to do, they were like, how are you going to train the teachers if you're not going to meet them, put them in a hall and talk to them and teach them and show them on the board? You're like, no. With today's technology now, we can actually have our platform online. We deploy resources that actually help to train these teachers. And from wherever they are in Cameroon, no matter the region, no matter the distance, they can actually connect on that platform and be able to receive that training. Using animated video lessons makes it very easy for you to pass information, because now we are trying to move from rote memorization to actually understanding. We want people to be able to understand something. It's very difficult for somebody to understand something that they don't see. For example, when I was in primary and secondary school, most of the things that they taught us in science, we only had to memorize because we don't see. You don't see. They're talking about photosynthesis. You just have to imagine it, you know. But now with animated video lessons like what Yakili is doing, when the teacher is talking about photosynthesis, you're actually seeing a 3D image of how photosynthesis, how the process goes, and it makes it easy for you to be able to understand rather than memorizing it. I don't know if I should just go to the next one, or I'll have a break for someone to ask something. I don't know. How do we go about that?
You can continue, sir.
Okay. Yes, and then we talk about how what integration should mean. You know, when it comes to integrating social media into, first of all, education is something that is very, very delicate. And in every country, one of the things that the government tries to protect and guard very, very well is the education system, because what you teach the kids is what they're actually going to grow up with. So the government is always very, very careful about what they actually let into the educational system, because of course, kids in the early stages, they pick up on everything that you tell them. So if the education system is funny, they are going to grow up and be funny. So in terms of recognition, I believe that if we actually have, when we accept or we convince the government that they should actually allow social media to be part of the solutions in reaching learners, there should be a way that the government should have the possibility to be able to control that. And of course, it's not the whole government. We are talking about the ministries that are concerned with education and probably technology too. So like in my case, the Ministry of Education actually sets the standards, you know, like the curriculum that we use, the syllabus, everything that we cover in terms of education is actually handled by the ministry. And if you have to teach anything, it has to be in conformity with what they have provided. So once we are able to follow that, the rules and regulations guarding the curriculum, the syllabus, I think that's also part of the ways that we can actually say, okay, it is recognized formally because you are actually following the rules set by the government, which is the overall body that has to control what goes out as educational content to the students. And then aside that, a platform like my own in Cameroon, what we actually one of our biggest strengths is content authorship. Like we have been able to design uh, systems that can actually create content from textbooks, be it lesson notes. We can actually collect content, fine tune it, and simplify it, and then present it in a more appealing manner, which is actually going to invoke the interest in students to want to know more. So in our case now, what we're actually doing is we are doing co-design. So we have pedagogic inspectors from the government working with us, who are like the cornerstone of the content that we have access to. And they have to make sure that whatever we are designing or whatever we are adding to the content to make it more appealing or to make it simpler doesn't go out of what the government has actually approved as content that is supposed to reach learners. So in this case, Yakili is actually a co-designer of the content that is actually made available to learners through social media or technology. And then talking about protecting broadcast, we know that in many countries, having access to certain digital platforms or outreach stations is covered or protected by the government. For example, in my country, radio stations, TV stations, they are all under the government, and you cannot actually go to a radio station and just start talking nonsense. That radio station, they are going to be in trouble, and first, they will not even give you the opportunity to do that. So there is this idea of actually protecting whatever you have to say, be it on the radio or on social media, And that protective covering is supposed to come from the government and also the relevant authorities or the relevant media houses that are capable or have been given the accreditation to actually give you the platform to talk. And then one of our biggest strengths as of now too is the teacher training. We're actually doing a teacher training in Cameroon for all private school teachers. Just like I said, SEDUC is Secretariat of Education. That's the body that's in charge of all the private schools in Cameroon. And the first thing that we are doing is we are training their teachers. The training is divided into two sections. We have the online part and the offline part. Now, the online part, like I said earlier, we have a training portal and we have content that we have digitalized. Yeah, it's all animated video lessons. So these teachers can actually log in on the platform and follow the courses that we have created for them. And while they are following that courses, while they are following the courses, some of them are already taking part in the offline practical part. The offline practical part is in the classroom. So we have our support staff who help the teachers to set up maybe the interactive board or the interactive projector and help them to display their digital content and be able to use it to impart knowledge in class. So teacher training is one of our core strengths now, and we are having a lot of positive reviews regarding the teacher training. Okay, the second question is, who is best to certify digital influencer teachers? Is it ministries, teacher unions, or learning community? Of course, it's not supposed to be just one person. I think everybody is supposed to do that. Why I say so is because, for example, in Cameroon, if you are supposed to teach, you're supposed to have a certain level of education and some certification from the recognized by the government, because the government has what we call teacher training institutes, where about 90% of the teachers that are actually teaching must pass through that institution, even though it has been outsourced to third parties who can actually handle it, and then the teachers write an exam to certify them. Now, on social media, I think it's a completely different. It's completely different because there are some boundaries that we cannot set as compared to when they're in the classroom. On social media, people have the possibility to just record something, whatever they feel like it's good for them, because when you're recording something, it's good for you. You don't even know how it's going to affect the people that you are sharing it to. They can record something and put it online. And if we don't have another body online that can actually flag or comment or review, it becomes difficult. The simple fact that you have the certification as a teacher doesn't mean you can just go online and produce content and give to people to consume. So I believe if we have if as a teacher, if you've gotten certification from the government, that certification is actually for you to be able to teach in the classroom. Social media is a little bit different because the reach is not as small as your classroom. You know, in your classroom, you can actually contain some kind of information. But online, we all know what happens online. I don't even need to talk about that. And then yeah, teacher unions. So teacher unions, they form part of the body that is supposed to give accreditation. In my opinion, the teacher unions should have the possibility to review whatever is going out there. You know, aside the fact that the ministry gives you a certification, and that certification most of the times is for life. It's not like in other countries that maybe after 2 years or 3 years you have to write that certification exam again so that they know that you're actually still in the profession. In most African countries, once you have the certification, you just teach till I'm sure till you go on retirement. So teacher unions actually play a very great part because they always help to bring up hello.
Hello, you have about a minute to round up your submission, sir.
Okay. Yeah, teacher unions play a bigger part because they are able to bring upgrades to their community. And then the last one is the learning community. If we have a platform where we have teachers, I suppose, who are able to create content and put online, I believe the learning community, the end user, should be given the opportunity to be able to review and flag whatever they are receiving. That is going to be a better way to certify digital influencers online rather than having just one person doing it. So maybe I will stop from here for.
Thank you, Mr. Michael, for that wonderful insight. I know during panelist discussion, a lot of people have a lot of questions to ask you since you have experience in this field. We want to appreciate participants joining us across Africa. Mr. Elono Maudi Igwe, you are welcome. Kositeno, you are welcome, sir. Miriam, we appreciate you joining this platform. Netia, we also appreciate you joining us, and I hope you've been sending in your questions because this evening promises to be an interactive one. Before we go to Mr. Kositeno for his own presentation, let me quickly take this message. This December 18th, Africa turns its spotlight on the institutions, leaders, and organizations whose service continue to shape the continent's future. The Platinum Certificate of Recognition Awards honor those who build schools without applause, strengthen systems without fanfare, and champion education with integrity, sacrifice, and vision. From research institutes, advancing knowledge to faith-based organizations, nurturing values to ministries, diaspora associations, libraries, and political leaders, expanding opportunities. These are Africans' quiet builders. Join us for a powerful 3-hour live showcase on NESA Africa TV, featuring continental correspondents, special panels, panel nominee stories, and unveiling of Africa's leading institutional impact award. December 18th, 2025, the Platinum Certificate Online Recognition Show, celebrating integrity, recognizing leadership, honoring those who keep Africa's education standing strong. Be part of history. Visit NESA Africa or email nominees at nesa.africa to participate, partner, or endorse. If you want, you are welcome back. Over now to Mr. Kosi for his own presentation. I know with his wealth of experience in FAWE, he will have a lot to tell us this evening. Mr. Kosi.
Thank you very much. I would like to take this opportunity to say a good evening to everyone from Liberia. I don't know if you are, you can hear me very well.
Liberia. We can hear you clearly, sir.
Okay, so we are right now in Liberia for a very important launch of one of our programs, FAWE with the Mastercard Foundation, working exactly in that specific field of making sure that STEM, so everything that is science, technology, mathematics, and engineering are, courses and field that are taken by girls and young women across Africa. So I'd like also to take the opportunity to say hi to Teresa Omondi, who has joined the call. She's the Deputy Executive Director and Head of Programs for FAWE Africa. So thank you very much also for joining. So to all the panelists and all the people listening across the continent, thank you. And these are very important conversations in understanding actually how our world is going and how education needs to be transformed to be able to meet the needs of young women and men across the continent. That being said, I would like to write on the presentation of my predecessor to just say that we live in a world today where things are changing and moving very fast, where technology is today part and parcel of how we live, how we perceive things, and how we give our consent or not to what we do and what we understand. And we know very well that education is the basis of everything, in the sense that it's where everyone goes through from the age of, when we are born until we die. Because at the end of the day, we never stop learning. And how do we make sure that we use today's tool to be able to support the way we teach and the way we make people understand what needs to be taught? From my a bit of experience, I also understood that if education, just like any other thing or just like any other agency that government have and all the other organizations that work around education have, if education doesn't adapt to today's world or to today's realities, we will just be outdated, and we will have very much hard time to bring on board people and to make them understand how the world is going. We have been to so many classes and so many schools across the 33 countries we are in Africa to understand that more or less we are sometimes lagging behind in picking up the pace of technology in our education. For me, as a senior communication officer working with FAWE, I've had the opportunity to understand or to see firsthand the digital divide that we have across the country and across the continent, and how it's taking a toll on education across the continent. The Agenda 2063 of the African Union says it clearly that education should go through every corner on the continent, and we need to make sure that those things that drive the future of the continent. But where I would like to bring my conversation or my thought on this topic will not be on the fact that if teachers need to be taken as influencers. But for me, it will be more or less on the readiness of the continent to be able to adopt that. Because I think we know from experience, from what happened in classrooms, from what happened on the field, that there is more content to be learned online that we can even think or imagine learning in our classrooms. But that divide that exists, when you go through almost every country, you'll have coverage, good coverage, more or less in the big cities, but you'll have lesser coverage in remote places. And that is what FAWE has been working on for a long time, making sure that people have the same access to education, if it's education in classroom or education online or any other aspects of education, or how we'd like to put it. So it is for us today as policymakers, as advocacy organization, to make sure that this is not something we just say for the sake of saying it, but we have policies and actions that go with it. During COVID, we have all learned that education can be done differently. We have all learned that we can pass out messages differently. Let's say we are not far, or we might not be far from another event like COVID, or maybe not that worse, but we are not far from something that will make us go completely digital. How ready are we to be able to give the same chance to all the more than 1 billion people across the continent, knowing very well that we have more than 70% of that billion and more that are young people. So this for me is the one important takeaway that I would like to take here. With FAWE, with the program that we had in Kenya, that is to take an example, in Kenya called Imarisha Msichana, which is a program where we try to bring back young mothers and adolescent mothers back to school. So they have dropped out of school because of pregnancy and many other problems. One of the things we did, and that program was during COVID, one of the things we did was to digitalize one of our models, called Tuseme model, which model give an agency to young women and men, to young people, to students, to be able to speak out about the issues and then to speak out about what they need to see and what they want to see in the education system. what that experience taught us is that when you go digital, you are able not only to reach more people, but you're able to create a community where people are able to share the experience on the topic that you're talking about. This aspect of learning together, this aspect of creating a community that believe from one point of the continent to another point of the continent has shown that the result is more there. And even we want it or not, even in the remote areas, they don't have internet, but they only, and the few time they will have it, they will go and consume content online. Because today, the young people don't go online to send emails or to, I don't know, do whatever things we think at our age will do. But for them, it's to consume content. And that has been shown in that program that we have done, and also with digitalization of our model, where young people come across that platform to be able to share not only with people in Kenya, but also with people across the continent to share exactly their experiences, what they are waiting for, what they're expecting, and also know and understand what's going on in another country. I think a few weeks ago, we've had an experience of the story of a teacher in, I think it's in DRC, who is a kindergarten teacher or primary school teacher who was very active online. And unfortunately, she passed away a few weeks ago. And it was a big hit on the internet because at the end of the day, people knew her, people understood, and people related to her. And then the relationship between her and her student were known because she was doing things differently from what the traditional teacher would have done. This tells us something. People want to do things the way it's being done now. But unfortunately, and in most of the countries, people who are in charge of our education system might not always be that technology or social media doesn't need any master degree in computer science or anything, but might not understand even how relevant that is. I will take one example. When I was in Kenya recently before the exam, so one lawmaker took the internet. So he's a lawmaker, he's a policymaker. He took to internet to do math exercise, okay, to young candidates across Kenya, and those videos were 100,000 people all the time, and it's really struck me on how people consume today. So if today news is being consumed on the speaker was talking about stay in the spirit of brick and mortar's way of doing things. If all those things are being consumed online, why should education not being consumed online? Start with our courses on it. It's about using the platforms that are there now, because everyone in any way will one way or another influence policies or influence actions or influence other people. So some people might not be like big time influencers, but they have their say in the way this world is being shaped. So I believe that the action or the question of if we need to make them influencers is an evident question. We really need to, because the young people today spend more time to consume online than anything else. So it's for us to bring that to them there so they can have that balance. In my readings recently, I found out that in China, for example, the TikTok equivalents in China, I think it's called, the name skipped a bit, in China, allow students to consume TikTok, but to only at certain age, to only consume contents that are educational related, for example. And this is in China, their version of the TikTok. Why do they do that? They understand very well that they are all online, so we need to be there giving them the contents that they need to learn. And it's us, it's for us, it's for the government, it's for us who shape today what is being done, what is being taught, to be able to move towards where they are, meet them there, and give them the balance. Because if we don't put our content there, if we don't bring our teachers there, if we don't bring what needs to be taught there, they will be there and learn something else, because there is nothing we can do about the fact that the young people are on social media and online. I'll give a personal example. Me, I'm from Togo, and in Togo we speak French, so French is my first language. I moved to the United States in 2015. So 10 years ago. And moving to the United States, I didn't speak any English, like literally. My colleagues at FAWE will tell you, they have heard this story many times. I didn't speak any English. So when I moved to the US, for me, learning English, to learn English, I did two things. The first thing that I did was on YouTube. There was this lady on YouTube, she is from Canada, and she used to give a lesson every day on a basic English. I followed her, learned from her almost every day for 6 months. Second thing was watching Netflix movies. Watching Netflix, first of all, I watched Netflix in French, subtitled in English. After a month or two, I switched from English to subtitled in French. I moved to English, subtitled in English, until I got, I think, a bit better to be able to start whatever education I was pursuing in the US. So that example gave us something. It was easier for me, even at my age, to learn from that lady, that Canadian lady, online on YouTube 10 years ago. Okay, so you can imagine how it will be for people today, 10 years later. And today we are not even talking about social media anymore. We are here talking about social media, but the truth is the world has moved on very quickly, and the new technologies that are coming up, the AI that are coming out, and the realities that is being taken by our world is clearly taking us towards something we might not be ready for. So to conclude on that first content of mine, yes, we need to have teachers as social media influencers in the specific field to be able to support, to help more than in the classroom. But secondly, we need to bring the conversation a bit higher. How do you make sure, or how do we all make sure that it is fair, it is available for all in every corner of the continent? It is not a privilege for people living in big cities, and it is also something that we are able to put, in French we say garde-fou, we put some rules and regulation around, because we also know how social media can start from a point A and start to a point Z that we don't even know about or we don't even master. So thank you once again, and that will be my first take.
Thank you very much, Mr. Akosi, for that wonderful and thoughtful submission. It is important for us all to know that we can work together to make sure that students learn both in classrooms and through social media. All we need to do is to ensure that they are properly guided to ensure they teach what they are supposed to teach. I want to appreciate our participants for joining us.
Join us as we honor the trailblazing NGOs transforming education in Nigeria. Welcome to the Nestle Africa Nigeria Award, the overall best NGO contribution to achieving education for all in Nigeria. Highlights: NGOs making a profound impact on education through innovation, dedication, and action. Despite socioeconomic challenges and limited resources, NGOs are stepping up to bridge educational gaps and empower the next generation. Explore the category celebrating excellence in NGO-driven educational initiatives, recognizing NGOs providing education to marginalized communities and improving access for out-of-school children. honoring NGOs enhancing education quality through teacher training, curriculum development, and resource provision. Celebrating NGOs leveraging technology and unique methods to address educational challenges and promote learning. Winners receive national recognition, enhanced visibility, and opportunities for collaboration and funding. This award encourages best practices, fosters innovation, and drives progress towards educational excellence across Nigeria and Africa. Nominate the NGOs making a difference. Visit www.nesa.africa/nominate to submit your nominations. Your vote matters. Help us honor outstanding NGO contributions to education. Vote now at www.nesa.africa/vote. Together, let's recognize and support the
Welcome back. Some people don't just reach, don't just teach, they transform. Some don't just lead, they define possibility. And some don't just serve, they leave a legacy that generations inherit. On January 28th, the Africa honors these extraordinary men and women at the Africa Icon Blue Garment Award, the continent's highest lifetime impact recognition under the NESA Africa Award. These are the reformers, philanthropists, curriculum pioneers, technical educators, and visionary leaders who have dedicated 10, 20, and even 30 years to building the future of African education. They are the icons behind the policies we teach, the systems we use, the opportunities our children enjoy. Their work has moved nations, influenced generations, and shaped the destiny of millions. Join us for an unforgettable night of honor and storytelling featuring continental correspondents, documentary reflections, and luminous spotlight and powerful moments from the legends of African education. January 28, 2026, the African Icon Blue Garnet Award celebrating Africa's lifetime educators, honoring decades of service, recognizing the giants who build the foundation we stand on. Be part of this historic celebration. Visit NESA Africa, nesa.africa, or email nominees at nesa.africa for participation, partnership, and endorsement opportunities. Welcome back. We still have other speakers who are ready to share their words of knowledge with us this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Bolanle Santos. She is another speaker, and she is someone whose voice shapes clarity inside some of the most complex organizations. We are honored to welcome Bolanle Santos, a strategic communications leader with over 7 years of experience transforming new teams, connect, engage, and align around purpose. She holds a master's degree in organizational communication and a specialty certificate in crisis communication. She has expertise that play this are at the intersection of leadership, messaging, change management, and employee trust. Bolanle is known for building high-impact internal communication ecosystem that strengthens culture, deepens engagement, and guides organizations through transformation. She works closely with senior leadership to drive clarity, transparency, and strategic alignment in moments of uncertainty. Tonight, we bring this lens into our conversation on social media and its content as a driver of education standard in Africa, unpacking how communication, trust, and digital influence shapes the new learning economy. Let's welcome Bolanle Santos all the way from USA. Bolanle, you are welcome to webinar this evening.
Thank you so much. Thank you to the Santos Creations Educational Foundation for having me as well. I'm really excited to talk about this topic. I think it's one that when you really double click into it, there is a lot of good that can come from having teachers as influencers. I think that recognizing African teachers as certified social media educators could be one of the most important shifts in modernizing the education sector that we've seen possibly in the 20th century. And just to clarify, when I first saw the question, I also had questions about it, but we don't mean influencers in the entertainment sense. We mean influencers as digital educational professionals whose classrooms happen to be online. They're not doing the latest trend, the latest dance, but they are educating and creating bite-sized content consumption. I think this really matters because across Africa, millions of students rely on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram microlessons to help fill gaps left by overstretched school systems. I know myself, as I studied for my master's, I used YouTube. I like to say I have my master's from both Ohio University and Utah University. But I find that teachers are already doing serious work online. They're breaking down complex topics.
Daniels finally sent a very powerful prayer to her husband.
Sorry. They're breaking down complex topics, demonstrating experiments that many schools lack equipment for, and providing mentorship to students who wouldn't have access otherwise. So I believe that formal recognition could really bridge the gap between informal digital learning and a structured education. I'll kind of deep dive into a few ways I think that this either already exists or could be a real benefit to students. So right now, teacher creators operate in a bit of a gray zone. They're educators formally, but the platform treats them like entertainers. I think that a certification pathway would not only validate their expertise, but encourage more evidence-based teaching methods. It would also create guidelines on accuracy and ethical content and differentiate these professionals from the casual content creators who are posting reviews or hauls or, again, doing TikTok dances. This would bring credibility to both the teacher and the learning experience. The second reason I think this is a fantastic idea is that this would create new career mobility for teachers. So teachers across the continent and really across the world struggle with low pay, limited growth, and heavy workloads with more and more students added to classes, class sizes that continue to grow, and budgets that continue to shrink. I think that creating a digital education pathway would allow them to scale their impact beyond a single classroom, earn partnerships through state-backed programs supplementing their income or even the income of the school, build portfolios that really reflect modern teaching skills, and attain recognition based on the impact they're making, not school placement. So many teachers do fantastic work, but because of the area where they're teaching or the size of the district, they don't really get that recognition. When you're a creator and you're sharing your content with millions of people, that recognition is able to be seen and that impact is able to be seen through your engagement. Another very important part of this is reaching learners where they are, reaching learners that the traditional system can't. So certified online educators could play a really important role in creating equity in our education system. They could provide low or free lessons to rural or low-income students who otherwise wouldn't have access to these experts and to this information that they're sharing. It would also be very accessible because they'd be able to explain subjects in local languages or provide subtitles that are translatable so that someone in China could benefit from the same thing someone in Kenya could benefit from. And they could offer content that aligns with national or regional curriculum, the history that we want to know of our culture, of Nigeria, understanding it deeper than maybe the surface level that's currently taught. And again, it's accessible, it's low data, it's affordable, and it would really reach people where they are. And one of the final reasons I think this is so important is this isn't replacing education. We're looking to strengthen our education systems and not replace them. It's about expanding our ecosystem. Governments and education ministries could use digital educators to distribute unified curriculum resources, support teacher training, combat misinformation, because we've all been there. We've all seen information that many believe to be true that turns out to be false. Supplement, again, for overcrowded or under-resourced schools so that teachers don't necessarily have to spend as much time one-on-one because there's bite-sized content that a student who's maybe struggling to complete a homework assignment can access. And it would modernize the learning experience to how young people already consume information. I know personally, seeing it with my niece and nephew, they have their iPads, they search for videos, they're professionals with technology, and they would love to have more bite-sized lessons like this. So overall, I think this is a great idea. African teachers becoming certified would, it's not just a nice idea, but it really aligns with how we're evolving globally. And with the right framework, I think it could really elevate the profession and make education more accessible.
Thank you very much, Bolanle Santos, for that wonderful insight. I know a lot of people see reasons why we should encourage teachers to be influencers on social media to teach whatever subjects they are teaching their students. I want to recognize our participants for joining us this evening. Bob Rentjes, Sam, Teresa, Maria Santos, Anita Tenu, Bolaji Santos, Damilola, Jide, Castro, Itam, and Aisha Ansar. We welcome you all to this webinar.
In a continent rich with potential and promise, education is the key to unlocking Africa's future. Welcome to the New Education Standard Award, NISA Africa Nigeria 2025. Together, we celebrate the champions of education and inspire excellence across the continent. From bustling cities to serene villages, the heartbeat of Africa resonates through education. Our signature song is a call to action, a melody of unity, and progress. Let it inspire you to join the movement for educational excellence. Spearheaded by the Santos Creations Educational Foundation, NESA Africa recognizes individuals, organizations, and institutions that are transforming the face of education. Together, we're shaping a brighter future for Africa. Celebrating outstanding contributions to education, NESA Africa awards feature categories like Overall Best NGO Contribution, Best EduTech Organization, and many more. Excellence deserves recognition, and you can be part of this journey. Nominate outstanding contributors to education. Shine a light on their achievements by submitting nominations today. Simply scan the QR code to access the nomination portal. Sponsorship and partnership opportunities.
We're the leaders, the teachers, the mind so bright.
Welcome back. Now, let's go to the panelist discussion. This evening, it will be an interactive session because I want everybody to contribute. It is something we almost collectively decide on what we want to do. Now, my first question goes thus. Satisfy influential teachers? Is it the ministry, are independent or other independent bodies? Who exactly should be responsible for the certification of teachers as influencers on the various social media platforms? I know we have a lot of people this evening participating on this program. So now let me call on Mr. Sam. What is your opinion on this? Who do you think is in the right position to certify teachers as influencers? Mr. Sam, are you with us? Hello, Mr. Sam. All right, let's sample the opinion of Mr. Bolaji Santos. What is your opinion on this? Who should be the one to certify teachers as influencers? Is it the ministries or other independent bodies? Let it be an interactive session. If you have something to say, please just raise your digital hand for us to know that you have a contribution to make, or you can also type in your contributions here. Okay, Mr. Balaji is of the opinion that he believes it will need to be done by independent bodies. Yes, he said to achieve this, he believes independent bodies should be the one doing this. Damilala, what is your view on this? Hello? Hello? Oh, let me check the message box again. Okay, Miss Teresa, please, I would like you to talk. I don't want to continue reading comments. What is your take on this? Please, on your mic and reply us.
Oh, hello. Sorry, I was having an issue with my microphone. Thank you for the opportunity. I just was sharing that to make system changes or to impact on education systems in African schools, you would have to do that in collaboration with the ministries of education, because that's how you would have it included in the curriculum. You'd have it adopted by the government through various policies, and that would be able to reach all the children. If we probably just privatized it, then again we would continue having inequalities in the system, where those who can afford internet, can be on internet, or can have equipment for, would be the only ones to get. But if we insist that the governments take it up as one of the mainstream issues for education, then I believe it would be more adaptable and to reach as many children as possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Teresa, for that wonderful insight. Damilala is of the opinion that she believes the government should be the appropriate body to give approval to teachers for them to be influencers and use it to educate our students. Now, moving away from the issue of who should certify influencers, Mr. Kosi, with your wealth of experience in FAWE, do you think can digital learning be standardized across the 54 countries in Africa and in diaspora? Because looking at it now, we're talking about the need for us to use social media. And you know, across Africa, we have different languages all over Africa. So do you think digital learning can be standardized in such a way that they will be able to use it to educate our students?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think that is a very wonderful question. And I would like to start by saying that if we already agree that Africa is diverse, but at the same time, Africa consumes the social media that have been made by another country that doesn't speak our language. So if those social media platforms were able to, I will say, find themselves in our homes, in our villages, without even one of the coders, one of the people who put it in place, being able to speak one of those languages, it means that it's there to stay. It means that it speaks to everyone. It means that it's a platform that doesn't make a difference across the continent between languages or tradition or culture. That's the first thing. Second thing, we know that we have been colonized in Africa, and that has been our history for so many years, and unfortunately. But as a result of that colonization, we have major languages that are spoken through Africa. For FAWE, for example, we are an organization where we speak 3 major languages. So it will be English, and Portuguese. Taking those 3 languages, you are already reaching out to a big community across the continent. And third thing, in most of the countries that we have in Africa, the 54, the school, the learning is done in at least one or many of those foreign languages. That is also, it was maybe at the beginning a problem because it came from colonization and slavery, but today is an opportunity. So how do we transform a bad we had on something good that we can use? Third thing, social media have evolved. A month ago, I was watching the news in Kenya, and I saw this young Kenyan that created an app that was able to translate in real time conversation into sign language, like in real time, not to wait. You speak, the app does automatically the sign language. And today we have on our platform the possibility of translating everything we want in the language we understand. And I was talking about AI a bit earlier, saying that it's here, it's changing the whole atmosphere, it's changing the whole our way of consuming news and content, and that's AI is able at to some degree to translate content in any other language. What will happen in the next 1, 2, 3 to 5 or to 10 years? We are not even ready yet to imagine, on our continent. So yes, we are diverse, which is a beauty. We are different community. Me, I'm from Togo. I work in Kenya. In Togo, we are just 8 million people, but we have 54 languages, like 54 languages for 8 million people. So you can imagine, but at the same time, not only that we have a common language that you will speak, that will be French or Ewe or Kabye, depending on where you are in the country, but at the same time, we are having platforms that will help you translate content. Now, if we are to do that, we also have our work to do. Because most of the AI platforms that are being created now are being fed with contents that are available to people that are feeding it. I was at a conversation 3 weeks ago with the Mastercard Foundation in Nairobi. They were having a partner convening, and one university, one vice chancellor from one very great university in Nigeria was sharing, and also in Rwanda, one university in Rwanda, was sharing how they were able to create their own AI, generative AI platform. Okay, why did they do that? Because most of the AI platforms that are there today are fed with informations that may be biased toward us. Okay, and most of those platforms are open source. It means we can use those open source AI to be able to create and to feed content that will respond to the needs of Africa and to the need of our young people. So yes, we can standardize, but before that, like Teresa was saying earlier, ministries of education, different stakeholders and partners, the African Union, because we have instances that work for that work for harmonization of everything from trade to our military to our education across Africa. We have instances. We need to use the resources. We need to be able to use our content. We need to be able to use and to put our money where our mind and our money, our talking is, or our speech are. So these are very important. It can't be an issue. It can't be a problem to be diverse. In the contrary, being diverse means that we have many different ways of doing the same thing. I'm sure we have all watched those videos online where teachers from India or from any other country will explain very simple math theory or theorem that was so difficult for us to understand when we were at school, but they will just tell us that with a simplest way of doing it, and then we understand it better. It means people have other ways of doing things according to the culture, to the background, and to the way of understanding things. So this for us is, once again, from the get-go, something that we should capitalize on. We can, but we have a responsibility as young people. We have a responsibility as stakeholders, as NGOs, as Ministry of Education, or as politics, or as regional organization, to be able to invest in platforms that help, first of all, standardize the contents, okay, that we are given, and also to give out policies. Because why am I asking that? If we today say, okay, it's a thing in Africa to have our teacher recognized, okay, as influencers, like my colleague Bolanle, I hope I am saying the name right, was saying earlier, we need Bolanle, yeah, we need to recognize those talents. We need to legitimize it. We need to make sure that they are known as being trusted source of information. So if we do that, and then that standardization doesn't go across the continent, and in the same way, the content will not wait for the policies to be spread across. The content, when it's on social media, it's already everywhere. So the call for standardization is imminent, it's immediate, and then it's needed before we even start anything. But to conclude, we will need to do our work, to do our due diligence, to make sure that we awaken in our mind and in our population's mind the needs of creativity, to create platforms that respond to our needs, to create platforms that give us the opportunity to learn as African, to understand things as African, and present ourselves in front of the world as Africans. And that is the knowledge we have to share, and that's the knowledge we should be proud of. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kosi, for that wonderful insight. We'll go on a break, and when we come back, we still have a lot of interactive discussions to go around this evening.
Millions rise each day with one dream: access to quality education. And in 2010, a movement began to honor those turning that dream into reality. Led by the vision of engineer Babashola Santos Vincent Aderabigbe, the Stakeholder Education Standard Award was born, not to celebrate the obvious, but to spotlight the unseen, the ones building, teaching, funding, and believing. From 2010 to 2013, the movement listened to teachers, NGOs, traditional leaders, innovators. What they all had in common was this: they were changing lives. By 2014, the movement grew and became the Nigeria Education Standard Award. In 2017, it evolved again to become a NESA, amplifying the call for reform. But the vision could not be contained within one nation. From 2020 to 2024, a continental shift occurred. What began in one country now called out to the entire continent and its diaspora. And so, NESA Africa was born. In 2025, the first NESA Africa Award took place, not as a show, but as a statement. We see you. We honor you. We walk this journey together. Today, NESA Africa is a living network. Across 54 countries and African diaspora regions, local chapters are engaging communities, celebrating educators, and amplifying Africa's voice in global education. We are aligned with the global goals for education, equality, and collaboration. We walk in rhythm with Africa Agenda 2063's call for a people-driven, educated continent. You too can be part of this legacy. Join your NESA Africa local chapter from your country of residence or your country of origin. Become a yearly ambassador. Be the voice of transformation in your community. This is not just an award. It's not just a platform. This is a movement. This is NESA Africa.
Welcome back. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Mr. Eyitayo Okumola, a tech entrepreneur, a community mobilizer, and an AI investor. Eyitayo Okumola is a renowned technology entrepreneur and ecosystem builder, best known for founding Utiva, a company transforming how people learn, get hired, and scale across borders. As CEO of Utiva, Eyitayo has led the company to train over 100,000 individuals in tech skill and support leading organizations in the United Kingdom, United States, and Nigeria to upskill and recruit top talents. Widely recognized as a tech evangelist, Eyitayo has built a reputation for driving impact through innovation, education, and global partnership. Before founding his companies, he held leadership roles in products and partnership at Creative Associates USA and Afrisense, where he served as Vice President for Business Development. His work has earned him numerous prestigious recognitions, including being named as Facebook Community Leader 2020, Antler Entrepreneur, Corn Incubator Fellow of the United States of America. He is also Chevening Scholar from the United Kingdom and Atlas Cup Fellow from USA. He is also a Global Good Fund Fellow, Carrington Youth Fellow, and was recently selected as the 2024 Casada Entrepreneur and one of the Jack Ma Foundation's Business Hero. He is a recipient of the UK Global Talent Visa for his exceptional contributions to technology and workforce development. Eyitayo holds a master's degree in business strategy and change from Edinburgh Business Schools and consults as an AI product manager. He is also the founder of the Velocity, an exclusive network of over 700 high-performing entrepreneurs, professionals, and operators across Africa and beyond. Mr. Eyitayo has been trying to join us on the program this evening. I hope he will be able to join us before we end the webinar. Now, I have a question for Mr. Michael, because he is an expert on the field of technology. Now, we're talking about using technology or social media to teach students. Now, our wallet link performance grant ethical? You know, when people use social media, the grants they receive, is it ethical? Mr. Michael, what do you have to say on this? Mr. Michael, are you still with us?
Yes, I'm still with you, madam.
Okay, sir.
Yes.
I'm asking about the wallet link performance grant. Is it ethical?
Well, in the space of social media, I think we are going to say it's ethical because using on social media, using wallets and the rest is already something that is common. Most of the teachers who are giving lessons online, I think they're already used to wallet systems. Wallet system, I believe many people always believe that when they start talking about wallet, maybe they're talking about Bitcoin and the rest. But e-payment platforms, they also have wallet systems that are actually not directed to or directly related to cryptocurrency. Wallet systems could be e-payment systems that integrate mobile money like M-Pesa and the rest. So I think it is ethical because if these people are actually being remunerated for delivering content that is viable and content that is actually useful to the end user, then why not? Why not? I think it's ethical.
Thank you very much, sir, for that insight. Now, let's talk about this very important issue. We are talking about the need for us to encourage or to even certify teachers to be influencers. Now, will creators, the content creators on social media now, will they now replace teachers? Or will they work side by side to ensure that our students learn what they are supposed to learn? Let the conversation be interactive. I would like to hear your contributions. All our participants, you can be part of this conversation. Do you think will creators, these content creators, will they replace our teachers? Or what are they supposed to stand for? Ms. Balale Santos, what is your opinion on this?
Delivery.
Okay. Aisha Ansar, what do you have to say on this issue?
Hello, can you hear me? Thank you for
Yes.
the opportunity. I think that teachers will always continue to remain a cornerstone of communities and learning. I think teachers in conventional educational systems in the classrooms will just adapt to being more in terms of psychosocial support, civilian support, and more in touch with children's development in future skills. So I think training and learning in terms of influencers or through digital content is very good for standardized learning. But it's also very important to have the human interactions that teachers do. It's very much in the concept of being in keeping with our wisdom throughout our heritage and learning, which I think you absolutely need to have teachers to be able to impart that wisdom, that knowledge, just as our tribal ancestors or the wisdom seekers were able to do so.
And I heard you call me earlier, so I'll just add, I completely agree. This isn't replacing teachers at all. It's just taking their standardized content and creating more bite-sized, accessible ways to access. So completely agree. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you very much for that insight. Mr. Eitayo, Are you with us? Say Tayo. Participants, you have the floor. Please introduce yourself and the country where you are participating from, and let's hear your opinion. Will the content creators now replace our teachers in classrooms? What is your opinion on this? And don't forget, you can send in your questions. You can submit your questions through the QR code, to comment, or Zoho attendee box, so that we will be able to pick your questions and our expert can do justice to the questions. I'm still expecting your opinions because I want it to be an interactive section. Let our participants tell us what they have to say on this issue. Scan the QR code and send in your questions. We are still expecting your questions, and you can also send your questions through the YouTube comment or Zoho attendee box. Let's receive your questions so that we all can learn together. Let's go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll continue the conversation.
In the heart of Africa, dreams arise. Nisa Africa, we see the skies, guiding the way with knowledge as the key, shaping tomorrow strong and free. From the classrooms to the fields we sow, the seeds of learning, watch them grow. Together we stand, lifting each hand, building the future across the land. Nisa Africa, hey, we're celebrating all the light we shine, and the kicking of excellence across the line. Nisa Africa, hey, together we rise as one we sing, celebrating education of excellence across Africa. For the leaders, the teachers, the minds so bright, Nisa Africa, you are guiding light in every corner, every town. Knowledge reigns, wearing the crown. Through the highs and lows, we keep the flame of unity and love. We make a name from east to west, north to south. We see a future shaped by you and me. We're celebrating all the light we shine, and the kicking of excellence across the line. In South Africa, hey, together we rise as one. We sing, celebrating any education of excellence across Africa. We're the leaders, the teachers, the minds so bright, and they're kicking all excellence across the line. In South Africa, hey, together we rise as one. We sing, celebrating education of excellence across Africa. To the beat of change, every step brings a brighter day. In this South Africa, we're making waves. With hearts united, we pave the way.
Welcome back.
It's South Africa.
Before we go on the program this evening, I would like our speakers to just conclude the section by just doing a recap of what they said and telling us the key message we are to go on with. Let's start from Mr. Michael. final message on this webinar, sir?
Okay. Yeah. So my final message, in respect to the topic, as someone who is already doing something in that space, of course, I'll have to encourage it because I'm actually seeing the outcome in Cameroon firsthand, where we are training teachers to be able to give them the opportunity to dispense knowledge online, even though it's through our platform. But our platform is not isolated. We still connect to other platforms or bring in third-party communication through our platform. So it's almost in the same light. And what I want to conclude with is that making teachers as influencers on social media, I think it's something that we should encourage. And just like most of us agree, the government, ministries of education should actually play a very big role. But notwithstanding, that role is not only theirs to play. I think other parties should be able to provide what we can actually use to ascertain the effectiveness of what each or any other person or what each teacher or anyone that is given the opportunity to dispense knowledge online is putting out there. So it's a good initiative, and I think Yakili is already part of the puzzle. So of course, yes, I welcome it very well, and I encourage it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Michael. We have a message from Mr. Itam. My name is Itam Omini Okoye from Lagos, Nigeria. I'm of the opinion that content creators via social media and teachers in physical classrooms will continue to operate side by side as sources of learning and teaching. Thank you for that. Ms. Bolanle Santos, your message.
Thank you. Just to, oh, sorry, I think there was a glitch there for a second. But just to wrap up my thoughts, I do think that we're on the cusp of something fantastic. I think Africa, Nigeria, we can really do something amazing here. We're taking the curriculum that's already standardized, that's already approved, that's already and made accessible by educators to create videos online. I do agree that there's an ethical piece to this and that there is some governance that's needed, and figuring out that structure first is very important to make sure that kids aren't taken advantage of and that teachers aren't taken advantage of. But I'm really excited to see where this goes and to support the cause. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much, Ms. Santos. Mr. Itayo, you are still trying to log in, and we will really appreciate if you can still join us to give us your words of experience. Now, I'd like all our participants to give their recommendation. You can just introduce yourself, where you are joining us from, and give us your recommendation. Aisha Ansar, can you start?
Thank you for the opportunity. I'm Aisha. I currently reside in the UAE, and I've been following upon a lot of the innovations that come from the region in Africa, and I'm truly humbled to see the adoption. I think there's a lot of innovation and a lot of wisdom from the continent, and I think there's a lot of learning and takeaways, and I'm really inspired by this session to understand the direction that many people are going towards in co-creating knowledge and ensuring that all the ecosystem players are actually putting their energies together to really uplift children for tomorrow's skills. And I see that there's a lot of I would say the pace of adoption within the region is really inspiring, and there's definitely a lot of takeaways to other regions in terms of the approach and the frameworks and the ideas that has been spoken of today. So really insightful, and it's been really great to hear in on all of the insights.
And I would like you to record your opinion and send it to us through our website. We will still be expecting this from you. Mr. Kosi, your final message.
Yeah, thank you very much once again for this opportunity to share. My final message will be only one thing: collaboration. Collaboration. Because to be able to align our ideas, put our resources together, and be able to start a movement. Before this can be picked up by a government, it has to be started by us. So let's ensure that we have prototypes that work, we have models that demonstrate impact, and we are able to push our advocacy work to be able to sustain that movement and push for policies that help standardize this. We know it works. We have many countries across the globe where social media and even AI is part of the training mechanism. If we don't start now, we will be late, and we will be coming in late when things will have moved on to something else. So let's not see, we have seen social media as the devil for so long. It's now time to see it as what it is, and to know that social media, as any other platforms, is as good as the way you use it. So my call will be to collaborate, to partner, and to see how together we can bring up movements across Africa that changes the way we do education, that innovates, and that pushes for policy change and for budget allocation to be able to do the right thing, and also to make sure that every action we make are inclusive as possible, and we make sure that no one is left behind in our education journey. I will thank once again the Santos Foundation organization and all the staff and everyone that works around this great idea. We are here to support, but we are also here to work together and to make sure that our actions match our ideas. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, and special thanks to all our speakers and panelists and participants too for joining this webinar. On behalf of Santos Creation Educational Foundation, we say a big thank you to you all. And coming up on February 10th, we still have other interesting packages for you. Don't forget to join us November 25th, where we will be discussing financing education through CSR, public and private roles. Remember, you will hear from different speakers and panelists such as Toya, Mimi, Rahul Gautam, and corporate CSR team. Also, EduTech partners will be joining us for this conversation. Until next time, when you join us for another series of our Edu webinar, I'm Hawa Halimi, asking you to continue to contribute your quota towards developing the education sector. Bye.
NGOs transforming education in Nigeria. Welcome to the Nestle Africa